It says, the wife and I are 28 and 33 and on step 7 and on track with our number, meaning the retirement number. How do you weigh the opportunity cost of a needed home repairs, home improvements, and seeing our wealth multiplier?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, here's something that's interesting, Bo, because a lot of people get confused on this is because when you get to step 7, that means that you've already passed step 6, which means you're saving and investing 25% of your gross income.
That's right.
So if I was S. Sand, a lot of people go, well, why wouldn't I immediately be in step 8, which is abundance goals or prepaid future expenses? Well, I love that S. Sand is really giving it the respect that step 7 is the first place where you kind of pause, because steps 1 through 6 are very progression. They're progressing with a very purposeful, whether it's emergency reserves, keeping you from making desperate decisions. And then after you get through keeping you from making desperate decisions with the 2 steps that are cash-based, there's maximizing free money. There's making sure you're not turning compound interest upside down by working against you with step 3. And then, of course, we've got all the tax incentivized savings of Roth, health savings accounts, and even your employer plan. Step 7 is the first step that allows you to say, hey, how am I actually going to use this money, or when will I need this money? So, S. Sand, I hate to answer a question with a question, but the question is when will you plan on using this money? Like if you're part of the FIRE movement or FINE movement, financial independence, next endeavor, where you think that, hey, I'm not going to do a traditional retire at 60 to 65. I think I'm going to drop out at 50. You have different savings goals than somebody who is going to plan on working until they're 60. So that needs to kind of be taken into account to figure out. But if you are, and you figure out that especially if you use a resource like Know Your Number,
sure,
and you go to Learn.Money Guy and you find out, are you ahead of the curve, behind the curve, or right where you need to, and you find out you're ahead of the curve, then I would say you're actually graduating from step 7 to step 8, and by all means, go upgrade that kitchen.
Yeah, I think your question was, how do I weigh the opportunity cost between doing these home improvements or the fact that I will recognize that at 28 and 33, our wealth can multiply substantially over the long term. And when I hear that, I think it's really a goals-based question. What are the ultimate goals that I have or that we have? Because if you're in step 7 and you're already saving 25%, you're doing all the things, but you're just saying, okay, man, yeah, I know I can do the home improvements, but if I do that, now that money's not going to be working for me. You just have to figure out, where does that fall on your priority hierarchy. Now, here's a really practical example. Let's say that your family's grown and you got a bunch of kids, and inside of your current home, you've recognized that, man, we got 2 of the kids sharing a room, or maybe all 3 of the kids sharing a room, and we have an unfinished space over here. Man, we could really go for finishing this space. And we finish that space, it's going to allow the kids to spread out. It's going to give us another bedroom. It's really going to increase our standard of living that we're experiencing right now every single day. If I'm already in step 7 and I'm already doing all the 25% and I'm doing those sort of things, well, okay, yeah, if I spend whatever it is going to cost to renovate that and to do that, yeah, that money's not going to be working for me. But there is very real family value that takes place by me improving the home in which we live so that it better works for us. And you can feel that for outdoor living or for a kitchen or for whatever the thing is inside your family, but you have to figure out how much of a priority is that. I mean, you could do it with something like a swimming pool. Okay, hey, I really want a swimming pool. Okay, great, but is the swimming pool going to be worth the opportunity cost of those dollars in the future working for you? Some people are going to answer that question in the affirmative. Yeah, absolutely. I want this to be the thing that my family does, and I want this to be the experience that we have, and I'm not sacrificing financial independence. I'm just sacrificing how big the number's going to be. That's okay. But if you look at it and you say, okay, I can do this, but man, it doesn't really matter if we have a theater room in the house. That's not something that's like so valuable. Maybe it doesn't make sense to do that yet. Maybe you set some goal that once our net worth hits this, or once we get our account value here, then we will reward ourselves with doing the home improvement. You have to decide where the priority lies and what that, especially if you have like kids in the house, where the timeline is on actually being able to do that home improvement.
I think you're spot on. I mean, the big thing, the way I would put it is, you have to have a conversation with your current self, but also your future self, and make sure that you're giving them both a seat at the table, because I don't want you to get to be 50 years old and have regrets that you were living not a financial mutant life, but a financial miser life in your 20s and 30s. Because I want you to look back with a smile on your face and say, I lived my 20s the way I should have. I lived my 30s. I lived my 40s. That's why we're very intentional. I think you're at the right place because, man, are we nerdy on the numbers. But, man, oh, man, are we also super sentimental about making sure that you understand that money is only a tool.